ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् यदविद्याविलासेन भूतभौतिकसृष्टयः तं नौमि परमात्मानं सच्चिदानन्दविग्रहम्. Okay. We are still in perception. I think we will be in perception for the next few classes. If you notice, in Tarka, Anumana was the longest chapter. In Vedanta Paribhasa, perception is the longest chapter. Because Atma Vare Drashtavya, directly see the self, know the self. Okay. Okay. Any questions, clarification on what we did last time? Samvadi Pravrti, Visamvadi Pravrti, etc. All that is clear, or you need any further explanation? We did very little last time. Yeah.
Swamiji, please clarify Samvadi and Visamvadi.
Okay. See, this is according to Nyaya. How do you know a perception is true or not? So they say there is some logic in it, in the functioning world. An activity which bear fruit based on the perception, an activity which bears fruit is called Samvadi Pravrti. I saw a coin there, I went and I picked up and it turned out to be a coin. So my perception and my action matched each other. This is called Samvadi Pravrti. Therefore, this is proof that my perception was right. Then how do you know the perception was wrong? If you saw a coin, picked it up, and it turned out to be a seashell, it is called Visamvadi Pravrti. Your pravrti was not useful. So this is used in Tarka as a test for perception, which in the Vyavahara world seems to have some degree of reality. Some degree. It's an ardhangikara. I can't accept it full. Why? Because in Vedanta, one of the most important tenets is Swata Pramanam. Swata Pramanam means each pramana stands by itself, doesn't have to be validated by something else. Okay. So, even if you picked up and discovered it's a shell with Samvadi Pravrti, did the Pravrti prove that your previous perception was wrong, or did your second perception, when you picked it up, the second perception, prove that the previous perception was wrong? It's the second perception. No?
Yeah. Yeah, please repeat.
See, supposing you did not pick it up. Take a scenario like this. You saw a coin there. You did not pick it up, but you looked again. Hey, it is not a, you looked at it from a different angle. Hey, it is not a coin, it is a shell. So it is the second perception that falsified the previous perception. Proving what? That the mistake of a perception of a pramana should be corrected by the same pramana. A mistake made by one pramana should be corrected by its own by the same pramana. Otherwise, you will have a problem of saying, I can't smell the chili powder, so let me see whether it's chili powder or not. Put in your eyes. One pramana cannot validate another pramana. It is called Swata Pramanam. There is a big discussion about it. I am not going into the whole elaborate thing now. Called Swata Pramanam or Parata Pramanam. So in Nyaya they want some other support. They will call it by different words like Anukula Tarka. Anukula Tarka is supporting logic. Logic in keeping with that to prove it. How do you say that the cell phone is here? Because I see it. If it is not there, you would not see it. Is that Anukula Tarka necessary to know that this is a cell phone? No, directly perception gives you that. Direct perception. And even for this Vissamvadi Pravarti, Vedanta has a counter. Okay. I think I mentioned it last time. Ship at sea, stormy conditions, not sure where the shore is, it's night time. Then they see a light. That is a lighthouse. So you know where we are and you drop anchor. You are saved. In the morning you realize there is not a lighthouse. There is a bonfire lit by someone on the beach. Someone was spending a night on the beach and they lit a bonfire. So your perception and conclusion was wrong. No? You thought there is a lighthouse, there is no lighthouse, there is a bonfire. But your pravarti was fruitful or not fruitful? No? So even an erroneous knowledge can lead to fruitful activity. So how does Vissamvadi Pravarti prove that the perception is wrong? Are you getting the logic of it? So like this, because the important point here is Swata Pramana. No pramana has to be validated by another pramana or negated by another pramana. Now remember, all pramanas use perceptual data. You can't avoid that, no? To make an inference, I need data. Comparison requires data. Deductive logic also requires data. That is why perception becomes the elder pramana. It is in Sanskrit called as the Jeshta Pramanam, the elder pramana. But what inference can give you, perception cannot give you. From a distance, when you are looking at the mountain and concluding there is fire, that was not by perception. Perceptual data of smoke was used. But the pramana stands by itself. And supposing you can't reach the mountain, you have to prove or disprove that logic. What will you have to do? That inferential conclusion, if you have to prove or disprove, how will you do it? Again by inference only, na? You have to use some logic to show it is right or show it is wrong. Right you don't have to show. This is also again important to understand. Right knowledge becomes self-evident. doesn't have to be proved. That it is smoke, it is smoke. So whatever logic you use, or you go and check up, etc. If it is fire, because there is smoke. Doesn't have to be proved. But if it is erroneous knowledge, it is subject to negation. Tricky point here. Because in science, everything is open to question, isn't it? This is our background. Our background is from science, generally. Or even if it is economics or art subject, it is based in scientific logic. Everything is open to question. Why? Because again, there is no finality there. Fallibility is one of the requirements for a scientific theory, isn't it? When you are writing a scientific thesis, Sanchit is working on his doctorate. Fallibility is one of the points necessary for any thesis or any theory propounded. Because of that, what is right has to be proved, what is wrong has to be disproved, all that question comes up. But in other situations, what is right is evident. What is correct in terms of knowledge, okay, is evident. I mean, this tough stance is taken by Vedanta because remember what Vedanta is trying to know. Trying to know the truth of yourself. That can't be verified or disproved by something else. So from that, this point is coming up. Clear up to now? I think I elaborated with Samvadi a bit more and brought in other angles to it. Okay. So in some ways I am teaching more than Vedanta Paribhasa, okay? Yeah. But it is a clarity that's important to me, so I'll do that. Yeah. Okay, then going ahead. Okay. Now, again, remember we are dealing with Adhyasa. Therefore, some questions are coming up. It's not really Purva-pakshas, but questions which will actually clarify the whole thing. Okay? Yeah. Now he had said previously that even that illusory silver that you saw has for his Adhishtanam Chaitanyam. Adhishtanam is the shell, correct? But the Adhishtanam of the shell is Chaitanyam. No? So based on that, he is asking a question. Nanu Chaitanya Nishta Rajatasya Katam Idam Rajatam iti Purvavartinaha Tadatmyam. Because consciousness is all pervading. Therefore, it is you and the object both. Then how can you say if the Adhyasa is based on Chaitanyam, how are you seeing it as this? Why not as I? Uchyate, I'll answer that, he says. Yatha Nayamate. Now he is giving an argument from the standpoint of the questioner. Questioner is from Nyaya, logic, Tarka. Therefore says, Yatha Nyayamate Atma Nishtasya Sukhadehe Sarira Nishtatvena Upalambaha Sharirasya Sukhadi Adhikarna Tvad Avachedakatvad. Look in Nyayamatam. In Nyaya, okay? Not in Vedanta. Understand the difference. Shifting standpoint, so be careful here. In Nyaya, Sukha Dukkha is supposed to be Atma Gunas. Why? Because you say I am happy, I am unhappy, etc. But, he says, Sharira Nishtatvena Upalambaha. How does the Sukha Dukkha come into you? Because of your experiences, isn't it? How else does it come? In the world, how does Sukha Dukkha come? Some experiences I felt happy, some experiences I felt miserable. Some experiences I felt happy, some experiences I felt miserable. Is my voice audible enough? Somebody was saying is not audible.
It's fine, Swamiji, it's fine.
I can hear you.
Okay. Okay. He says, because of that, you will say this, he says. Atmanishta upalambha. Why? Sharirasya sukhadi adhikarnatva avachedakatvad. Because Sharira becomes the avachedakaha of your experiences. Your Sharira determines the type of experiences that you have. Because of that, he says, so what's the big deal out of it? Okay? What's the big deal out of it? The big deal is this, he says, Tatha Chaitanyasya matrasya rajatam. The Chaitanyam, that's the basis for the rajatam, prati adhishtanataya. But what is the adhishtanam of the rajatam? Idam avichanna Chaitanyam. Not aham Chaitanyam, but idam avichanna Chaitanyam. Okay? Idam avichanna Chaitanyasya tad adhishthanatvena idameva avachedakattaya. Because that idam seems to condition the Chaitanyam, rajatasya purvavrti samsargapatya upapadyate. Therefore, it is seen as something outside. Are you getting the argument? Okay. You understood the example. Nyaya matam. In Nyaya, Sukha, Dukkha, etc. is Atma Guna. But even if it is Atma Guna, it is experienced through the body, etc. Because Sukha Dukkha comes into myself through the experiences I go through. Since it is experience praised, it is considered as belonging to the body, etc. All right, then what? Because body becomes the limiting adjunct for your experience. That's the argument. The body becomes the limiting adjunct for your experience. Okay, fine. Taken that into account, he says, similarly, even though Chaitanyam is all pervading, what is the adhishtanam for your adhyasa? Your perception is focused on an object. Therefore, idam avachanna Chaitanyam becomes the locus for your adhyasa.
Yes.
Therefore, even though the final resting point is Chaitanyam, it is not aham Chaitanyam, it is idam Chaitanyam. Because remember, out of ignorance, we have taken as aham Chaitanyam, idam Chaitanyam. Object avichanna Chaitanyam, person avichanna Chaitanyam. So because of that, we see it outside, not in the inside. Simple argument, okay? Just to clarify. Okay. Tasya cha vishaya chaitanyasya tad antakorna upeta chaitanyam abhinnataya vishaya chaitanyasya tam rajatam sakshinastam kevala sakshi vedyam sukhadivad Ananya Vedyam iti chet uchyate. Okay, another Purvapaksh. Okay. And now what has happened? The process of perception is still fulfilled. What is that? Consciousness associated with the object, idam avichinnam, aham avichinnam chaitanyam, pramatra avichinna chaitanyam, idam avichinna chaitanyam. Both are joined together with the vritti. Remember the vritti, right? What we saw in the definition of perception. Both are joined together by the vritti. Therefore, in the same time and places exist. And the sakshi, you objectify it. Therefore, you see it. Whereas with sukha, dukkha, etc., it's kevala sakshi vetyam. Are you getting the whole thing, or you're not getting the whole thing? If you're not getting, shoot, I don't. It's not how much we do; it's how well you understand that matters.
Not getting it.
What is the doubt?
I'm not clear. Can you repeat?
Okay. The question was, how do you see the if? Remember this: if consciousness is the basis of your mistake. Because tell me, without a conscious entity, can there be knowledge or error?
No.
Okay. Then, how do you create the silver there? We saw this before I went to UK. थोड़ा gap हो गया है. Okay, gap हो गया. He said, the Sakshi Chaitanyam that you are, the consciousness that is there, which has got ignorance in the whole thing, because ignorance there in the mind, not knowing what is there, but at the same time appreciating that something is there. That's what is called idam avichinnam. It is this. What is this? I don't know. But something is there. Then, depending upon the consciousness, the avidya and the samskara that you have. Samskara is the impressions that you have about the shine, etc. That and the ignorance projects a delusion of silver. There is a projection there. Now, his argument was, if it is a projection based on consciousness, how am I seeing it out there? For which he argues that exactly like how you say, remember how you say, Sukha Dukkha is Atma Guna but is experienced through the body. Does Vedanta say that?
No.
Why?
Atma does not have any gunas.
Then what has Sukha Dukkha?
Mind.
Mind has Sukha Dukkha. Yeah. Why doubting it?
Mistaken.
Yeah.
Unwritten.
Yeah. Similar, okay. But experience through the body. Similarly, even though the consciousness is the basis for the projection is based on idam avichinna chaitanyam, not pramatra avichinna chaitanyam. When you make a mistaken notion about yourself, then it can be said it is a pramatra avichinna. Here, the mistake with respect to an object outside. Therefore, the ignorance with respect to the object outside. Therefore, that becomes the condition for you to project a piece of silver where actually what is there is a shell. Clear?
Yeah. So Swamiji, this practically explains all the nama rupas, no, of the
Yes.
Jagat. This is basically just a standpoint, means just a tip of the iceberg. Basically, it's a huge statement saying the entire Nam Om Chaitanya, Idam and Aham we are talking.
Exactly. So we are building up towards that. Everything is nothing but Nama Rupa.
Thank you.
There is no real entity. There are only perceptions that make up the world. Yeah. Because if you really look at what is an object, I'm digressing slightly now, it's important to see that contextual. What is an object? Just name and form, isn't it? Really, when you look at it. Define. Let us take fundamental substances. Okay? Not things made out of that substance. Like from gold you make ornaments. Let us not deal with the ornaments. Let us deal with gold. Fundamental substance. Okay? Something that is there on the periodic table, if you want to put it scientifically. Define it for me. What will you talk about it? Atomic weight, good conductor of electricity, lustrous, malleability. What is all that? Quality is gunas. Even what is weight? Weight is a guna. Why? The force of gravity acting on that particular mass, isn't it? Color. Actually, color is not even a guna. Why? The saffron color is not a guna because this cloth, because the cloth is rejecting the saffron color. That's why it looks saffron. Therefore, what is this thing that we call world? Perceptions. Or kya hai? We give so much of reality to the whole thing. That's why to make life feasible, we will talk about something like functional reality, etc. We will talk about it, that standpoint. Okay? That there is a functional reality, there is no functional reality. All that. Okay. Clear up to now?
Yes.
This para on this book, page 50, clear. Okay, yeah. I have deliberately, when the recordings, not mentioned page numbers. When I have only put topic numbers and date when we are having the class. Because I am not sure whether everyone is using the same book. Or if someone who is not in a class is listening to it, is going to use the same book. Okay? That's why I have not put the page numbers on it. But he is not giving up the argument so easily. Okay? The Purvapakshi is not giving up the argument so easily. Therefore, he is coming up with a new thing. Nanu sakshini adhyasatve aham rajatamiti tadvan iti va pratyaha syat aham sukhi iti vad. See, it is sakshini adhyastam. Even though you say it is outside, even though you say the adhyasa is outside, out there, it is still by the sakshi, na? Sakshi means you the knower, pramata. He is using in the sense of pramata. Sakshi here is being used in the sense. It is by you. Therefore, you should experience it as aham rajatam or my rajatam. Tadvan, aham rajatavan. Like aham sukhi or I am having happiness, happy experience. So it should be taken as I or mine. because it is Adhisthana, the Adhisthana is Sakshi. Got the Purvapaksha? It's a little tricky. This text is tricky. Okay? The base for the Adhyasa is, whose Adhyasa is it? My Adhyasa. Someone else may be seeing the shell, not the silver. So it is mine. My Adhyasa. Correct? My Adhyasa means me, the knower, the Sakshi, the Pramata. My Adhyasa. If it is your Adhyasa, why don't you experience it as my Rajatam or I Rajatam? Exactly like how you will experience Aham Sukhi or I am going through a happy thing. Purvapaksha clear? Yeah, okay.
Swamiji, how can Rajatam be compared with Sukha Dukkha?
Because Sakshi Adhyasa. That's why I clarified right in the beginning. What is it based on? It's your Adhyasa, no? Okay, let me clarify that further. I go through an experience. It is my experience, right? If it is my experience, I have some ownership on it. I went through an experience. Aham Sukhi, or minimum I will say, I had happy times. Either I will say I am happy or I have had happy times. Correct up to you now, Nita Ben?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Swamiji.
Okay. If that is the case, whose Adhyasa it is?
My Adhyasa.
Then why don't you say, like how you said, I am happy, why don't you say I am Rajatam or I have Rajatam?
Rajatam is an object outside.
So I have Rajatam. Is it outside or is it in your mind? Huh?
In my mind, but she is as an
It's in your mind, so you should say I have Rajatam. Is happiness in your mind?
Yes.
You say I am happy. Or I have a happy times. I had a very happy time. Great party, I had a happy time. Are you right? Am I making sense to you?
Yes. Yes. That's
Yeah, so similarly, why didn't you say I have Rajatam? That's a Purvapaksha.
yeah.
Yeah.
One argument could be this knowledge that something is there outside
Yeah.
came in through some pramana, which is
Correct.
perception. So therefore, I don't project that my Rajatam.
Because of the Pramana usage, you get subject-object division. All subject-object division is based on Pramana Vyapara. Correct?
Yes.
In fact, it is based on Adhyasa. All Pramana Vyapara is actually based on Adhyasa. Adhyasa Bhasha of Brahma Sutras. Iyam Adhyasam Puraskritya Sarve Pramana Pramaya Vyavahara. I think maybe I have to revise that Adhyasa Bhashya sometime. Yeah. Okay.
But Swamiji, if we take that argument forward to
Yeah.
what he was asking, so even I am Sakshi of my Sukha Dukkha, na? So that is also to some level perception only, no?
Correct.
Sota Sakshi. So
Correct.
both are at the same table.
That's
level.
exactly what he's arguing. That's exactly what he's arguing. Therefore, it should be Aham Rajatam or I have Rajatam.
Yeah.
Yeah. मजा आ गई हो
But Swamiji, that when you say Sukha Dukkha, that is not using any pramana, that is Sakshi Vedyam, no?
So, that's the only
No, but,
difference.
yeah, but when I am seeing a thing, I am using a
Agreed.
perception, no?
And
So,
because perception is used, it looks outside.
ah,
That's the whole argument for making it outside. But he goes about it a little differently. Okay. He says, Nahi sukhadinam antakarna avchinya chaitanya nishta avidya karitya prayuktam aham sukhi iti jnanam. Says, no, what you are saying is not true. Put it like this. Sukha dukkhanam, sukhadinam, by sukha adi, all emotions. Sukhadinam, antakarna avchinya chaitanya nishta. The avidya that is based on antakarna avichinna chaitanyam. Okay. Karyutya prayuktam. How does sukha dukkha happen in your mind? Some experience, true. But that aham sukhi or I have happy times is based on what? It's an adhyasa based on the avidya which is there in antakarna avichinna chaitanya. Is aham sukhi a real experience? Let me question that first. Is aham sukhi a real experience? It's an experience, but is it a fact? Am ananda is a fact.
no, no, it's not an experience. It
That-
is my very nature. It's my swarupa.
Kamini, you are going completely haywire.
Oh, sorry.
I am not saying I am ananda, I am saying aham sukhi.
No, it is just your perception.
That's a perception of your mind.
That's a perception, yes.
Aham sukhi happens in the mind. Na? Does the experience of sukha happen in the mind or elsewhere?
Mind. Mind.
Therefore, it is seen by you. Therefore, you are independent of it.
Yes.
Therefore, what you are is ananda.
Yes.
Therefore, aham sukhi iti anubhava is based on what? Antakarna avichinna chaitanya avidya.
Avidya.
The avidya that is based on where? Antakarna avichinna chaitanya. Correct?
Yes.
Where is this avidya based? Antakarna avichinna chaitanya. Because it is an antakarna avichinna chaitanyam, you will say aham sukhi iti jnanam. Because you and the mind are identified with each other. Either as I or mine. Therefore, either you will say aham sukhi, I am very happy, maja aaya. Or you will say at very happy times, kya party tha, bahut maja aaya. This was a unique party. It was Friday night Vedanta party. A couple of my students with their friends has Vedanta night, Friday night Vedanta party. I think a great idea. Great idea. So they'll quiz each other on Vedanta. They'll form topic of discussions. So all friends are getting together. All of them are students of Vedanta, okay? Either with me or with somebody else or somebody else, something. All of them are a group of friends. About half a dozen? About half a dozen, yeah. Yeah. Great idea. Maja aaya. I had happy times. When you say I had happy times, that's also an adhyasa of mine. I am happy. I adhyasa, not mine adhyasa. Yeah. But that's a great idea for satsang, okay? Great idea for satsang with people together trying to understand, you know? Yeah. Okay. My net, okay. Just a minute, please. I'm coming on. You know, my network is like this community in India that around 12 o'clock it starts giving problems. Yes, I am back, and so are you all. Okay. Okay. Okay, Sukadinam Gatadivat Avachanya Eva Adhyasa. Okay. Okay, then he is going further with the thing, okay? He is going further with the thing, he is saying. He says, Ityadinam Gatadi Avachedaka Chaitanyameva Adhyasat. That an adhyasa will of an object will depend upon where that object is placed. According to your previous samskaras, whether on this mind or outside. Okay? He is explaining that. Kintu yasya yad adi akara anubhava hita samskara sahita avidya karyatyam tasya tatkara anubhava vishayatvam ityeva anugatam niyamakat. If in your mind, in your samskara, your experience and your mental conclusion, this is the samskara, is that happiness is in my mind. Then whenever you experience happiness, it will be in the mind. No? Correct or not? Because your previous experience was like that. Your previous experience of happiness and your conclusion based on that experience was, my mind is becoming happy. Therefore, any experience of happiness will be taken where? Mind. If you have experienced a gata outside, so thankfully nobody has experienced gata inside. Though there is a great warrior in the Mahabharata called Gatotkacha. Bhima's son from Hidamba the Rakshasi. Bhima must have been one hell of a character. Okay. But that was just a comparison because his head was as bald as a pot. Okay, no hair. But if your experience of gata is outside, when you make an adhyasa of the gata, it will be outside or inside? Outside, no? Will you ever take it as inside? Because what is your samskara? Jnanam. What is outside? Now let us say, here you will understand better. If I give you another example. Let us say you are addicted to a substance. Or the advertising agencies have made it very, very clear. Cigarette is a cool experience. Remember our time ads. Older people will remember that. The Marlboro Man, the great outdoors. Happiness is outside. Anytime you think of happiness, what will you want? Object. Why? You have projected happiness on the object. This happens to many of us. We forget happiness is an inside job, not ananda. Happiness is an inside job. We forget that and we project it to the object, isn't it? Why? Because the samskara based on your conclusion and the experience was like that.
Swamiji, can I ask a question here?
Yeah? Please.
So when I say I'm happy, I'm sad, also the experience involves the body because there is an identification with the body. So when I'm experiencing an object outside, really speaking, the body is not involved. So can I make out a difference like that?
No. All experiences are based on the body and mind. You can't avoid that. But what is the samskara that is left behind in your mind? See, if you are very clear, forget Vedanta now. Look at it apart from Vedanta. If you are very clear that happiness is in the body and is in the mind, and any experience can give you happiness, it's after all a mental state. Then you are less dependent on a given particular experience. But if you project that this object or this experience is happiness, what are you doing? You are creating a samskara in your mind that is associated with an object or experience. Then what will happen? Your adhyasa will be that cigarette is happiness.
Will go on being dependent in.
Yeah, the chocolate is happiness, cigarette is happiness, whatever, that is happiness.
Yeah, those samskara will be there.
Yeah. So depending upon what the samskaras are, your adhyasa will also follow suit, isn't it?
Yes.
Cannot be different from that. Now, if you have never seen a snake, will you project it on the rope?
No.
Why? No samskara in your mind.
Yes.
Avidya is there. You may mistake it for a crack on the earth. A lot of rain has happened, there is a crack because you've been keeping on seeing it on TV. This road has cracked, that road has cracked. It is nothing new, okay? It has been a bit more severe this time because the rainfall was a bit more severe. I had posted on my Facebook, the Ganga almost flooded the ashram. Ganga flows 30 feet below our ashram. And it is broad in front of our ashram. It rose high enough. It rose high enough to almost flood the ashram. He just greeted Puja Swamiji on his birthday, August 15th, and went down again. Yeah. Or previous to his samadhi, we would say, it has come to touch Gangadhareshwara's feet and then go back, because just entered the temple a bit and then went back. No flooding.
All the steps were covered?
All the step, every step was covered.
Okay.
If you go to my Facebook, you will find photographs on that. Now, our samskaras will depend upon our experience. If the samskara is not there, you will never this thing. So you heard so much of rain, etc. has happened, you will mistake it for a crack on the earth. If you don't know it's a rope, you will mistake it for a crack on the earth because that's your samskara. Seeing it on TV so many times, it has gone inside, samskara ho gaya. Arey, Bombay also is cracking. What is there is rope, okay? So, your adhyasa is dependent on what samskaras you are carrying inside. Yeah. Depends upon your conditionings. That's why it's called avachedakaha, your conditionings. Yeah. Same object may be looked upon differently by two people. I met this guy in the gym long time back, and he was saying, I hate bananas. Now, hate is a projection. I said, what has the poor banana done to you that you hate it? Samji, one banana has got 80 calories. I said, yeah, it's got 80 calories. So, if you want calories, it's a good food. They've got a lot of potassium, magnesium, etc. So, it can keep your BP and all under control. You're working out so much, sweating so much, you're using a lot of natural salt. Good to have a banana. But he's only calorie focused, nothing else. Samskara is like that, you will project like that. My samskara was something different, a little bit more objective. What is a banana? 80 calories, potassium, this, okay, fine. You take it if you want to. Are you getting the idea? Any projection will depend upon what is the samskara. Haven't you
So,
seen?
Swamiji,
Yeah?
basically the entire life is based on our samskaras only. No, we
Exactly.
live our life on the basis, and that's the whole focus of religion, to put in good samskaras so that some guidance. Because
Correct.
anyways, you're going to live on samskaras.
Exactly. Have some positive samskaras.
So there is why dharma.
Haven't you seen men and women getting into a love marriage? How often women marry men who are similar to their fathers in a love marriage, not an arranged marriage, and men marry women similar to their mothers? Because the first experience of love that you had as a baby created the samskara in your mind. Nothing wrong with it. If you want to continue being mama's little boy and daddy's little princess, nothing wrong with it. But if you want to break free and be different, be different. Yeah. That's why we went for a little bit more structured marriages, etc., where you could be a bit different. Looked at personalities, matching of personalities, etc. That also had its fault, because who is matching? Parents are matching, no? Same problem. Can't avoid. Your whole life is based on adhyasa. Without adhyasa, there is no living. Understand this. Without adhyasa, there is no life. The good, the bad, the ugly, everything is based on adhyasa. And that adhyasa is based on your ignorance, self-ignorance, and your samskaras. So what you will project? Huh?
Even for a jnani, Swamiji, to an extent, vyavaharik.
Yeah, even for a jnani, the vyavahara will be similar as far as rope, snake, etc. is concerned. Okay? In other things, he'll have a greater sense of objectivity. Remember Vairagya. Why is this so important for a student of Vedanta to cultivate Vairagya, objectivity? It is easy to say, I don't want it. That is easy to say. but that doesn't free you from the samskaras. It's the objectivity that frees you from it to a relative degree. So that is why it is so important for a student of Vedanta to cultivate objectivity. Vairagya. Because that is what loosens the hold of the samskaras on you. Even good samskaras can be a problem. All the karmatas, etc., have good samskaras. All your priests have got great samskaras, very good samskaras, but they'll never come to Vedanta. I yet to see a priest coming to Vedanta. No, sorry, I have seen one. One. He gave so many people sannyasa, meaning he did the rituals for sannyasa for so many people that finally he said, I should also take it up, and took it up. Ulta samskara ho gaya, you know. Because he kept giving samskara to others. So I don't know how much of that was a result of knowledge or result of samskaras. I don't know him that well to be sure. I knew him, but not that well. Yeah. He is no more now. He is an older generation. So, the whole life, since it's based on samskaras, the idea is to be objective and to be aware that you can be very, very subjective in life, in your perceptions, in your dealing with people. And the first step starts by being aware of the fact that I can be subjective. That what I see or believe or hold may not always be the truth. It's important. Because all your functioning depends upon standpoints. Standpoints are adhyasa, isn't it? Therefore, in that sense, a jnani is free from that. A jnani still has a background. He may prefer one thing to the other. That preference will be samskara based, but it is no more adhyasa based. For Nitaben's question, you know. It may be some preferences are samskara based, but not necessarily adhyasa based. Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it will be like,
Yeah, otherwise there is no difference.
yeah, a South Indian saying, coffee peega, subah subah. I'll drink coffee. Milk, yuck. Who wants to drink milk? That yuck is very revealing. Similarly, ask a North Indian, दूध पीएगा तब कॉफी कौन पीने का है? और बिटर दूध पी लो. You know, this is pure samskara, pure adhyasa. He says, well, both have its uses. A cup of milk in the night gives you good sleep. But morning I want to get up, so I prefer a cup of coffee. Now here, even though there is samskaras in terms of your culture and background, there is still some level of objectivity there. Level of objectivity is there. So, your function is not that subjective. The hold of adhyasa is less on. Yeah.
The awareness is there all the time.
Yeah?
No, I said the awareness is there all the time.
Yeah. That with that awareful functioning, things become easier. Yeah. That's why I always say, what is the sadhana in Vedanta? To be awareful, to be deliberate in your action. Yeah. That is where the whole basis for Vedanta Jnanam is based. Even Karma Yoga comes afterwards. You know? Yeah. Being awareful. Not being mechanical in your actions. Those guys who are coming, okay, it's a good place to stop. More we will see later.